Hey man, how you doing?
Good. How are you? What are you up to, man?
Not a whole lot, man. I'm looking forward to this interview. Pretty excited about that.
Yeah, me too. I watched Web the other day. Got me excited.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was good catching back up with him. It's been a little while, too long, really. Honestly, you've had an amazing career. So why don't you just start off by kind of telling us a little bit about yourself and your career.
So, kind of just, I guess I'll start back where I started. Everyone always asks how I got into running and stuff. So I'm not going to go through the entire career, but it was just one of those sports where I was better at than other things. So I tried hockey. I tried a lot of sports, and I was good at everything, but I just kind of excelled in running. And the big thing with me is I actually like what I do. So people ask like, how'd you run 13 years professionally? I'm like, I honestly like going to the track and doing like ball busting workouts. I like doing a workout that I know a handful of people on the planet could actually accomplish. So that was the thing that got me through the career and allowed me to run so long. Obviously, had a good high school career, college, and then 13 years professionally. It was the love for competition and then the same love for just getting out and running and doing hard workouts and being fit. And still to this day, 2 years retired now, I like tomorrow I'm going to go out and do a workout just for fun. I enjoy running, and um, one of the things I think that kept me in for a long time was that fear of what's next too.
Oh yeah.
So I enjoyed what I did, and I wanted to go through 2016, make my third Olympics. Um, and I wasn't ready to retire, but then close to the end, it's like, man, I've been a professional athlete for 13 years and been running for 4 years in college, high school, junior high, 13 years professional. It was a long career. And um, I think the big thing was I knew I would never be as good at anything I did for the rest of my life as I was at running. So that was a tough pill to swallow. Thinking, man, if I was as good at anything else, I would be a multi-millionaire. So
Yeah.
it was one of those tough things. Like I'm getting close to the end of my career. And it's like, man, I'll never be as good at what I'm doing now in anything in my life. And so once I got over that, it was nice and relaxing. But um, I think that was that tough transition at first.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that for sure. The fear of what's next. So you touched a little bit. You said your third Olympics. So what three Olympics did you make? What event? I mean, I know, but let's
Yeah.
share some information for everyone else real quick.
So I'll say my career, just the whole from the time I started running to the end, I
Okay.
jumped around a lot. So in high school, I thought I was more of a mile, 2 miler. My senior year, my coach was like, let's focus on the 8 to build a little more speed for your mile. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And I ended up running 146 in the 800 in high school. So that brought me into college. I was like, okay, I'm a 800 runner that also runs the mile. And the big thing at Michigan, we were just so heavy-handed with milers. So to keep me and Nick Willis apart, Ron would have him run the mile, 2 mile, or mile 3K, and I would do more of the 8 mile. So we'd overlap at the same time. We'd separate to score some more points and maximize championships. So for 4 years at Michigan, I kind of stuck with primarily the 8. I was training for the mile, racing cross country, running the 8. So I really
Yeah.
wasn't an 800 runner training wise, but I raced the 8 just to kind of keep me and Nick separated, so we weren't going head to head every weekend since we trained together every day. And then post collegiately, I switched back to the 15. So my whole college or my whole professional career was in the 15, and that meant 2008, 2012, and 2016 Olympics were all the 15.
I got you. So you know, let's go back real quick. In the 800 in college, you became an NCAA champion, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my
Um,
sophomore year, I won my first NCAA championship in the indoor 800.
Yeah, because honestly, I distinctly remember that race. I remember, I think I watched it and I think I remember watching it, again, like uh, online or whatever back then. But I think if I recall, you came from behind, right, and outkicked the guys right down the home stretch.
Yeah, so it was an interesting year. Lukoti Otukile was in there. He had run 144, reigning NCAA champion from outdoors and I think indoors the previous year. There was a lot of those kind of heavy hitter 400, 800 guys, and they took it out really hard. And I stayed back. I was probably in sixth, right on the tail end of the leaders, though. And I came off the final bend with, it's probably less than 50 meters to go on an indoor track. And I went from probably fourth or fifth with 150 to go. No, 100 to go. And then swung off the bend wide and took the lead and kind of I would say shocked myself. I knew I was pretty fit, but I didn't know how fit. And the big thing for me is just that strength that the mile and cross country brings. Those guys went out hard, and I was the only one with the strength left to kind of carry home and pull the win off. And that kind of really set up my career. I think I went into most of my races after that knowing I was one of the top guys, and confidence levels were through the roof. And obviously back at Michigan, we had a great training group, and we went to the wall almost as often as we could. And so it was just a lot of fun. And that first one definitely kickstarted what was kind of coming ahead.
Yeah, you guys did have a great training group, and I totally agree. When you can get that confidence from something like that, boy, you can really just run with it. And yeah, that's great. Um, so again, you talk about, man, you said you had 13-year-long professional career. You know, that's amazing. As a miler, I thought I had a long career, and it was like 9, 10 years. I'd almost call it 9.5. you know, um, what do you think the key to that longevity is?
That's the one thing. That's what I kind of hinted on, was that just the love for the sport.
Yeah.
When people say, "Oh, you're a runner," it's like, yeah, I am a runner. Like in every sense of the word, I love running. I love competing. I just enjoy what I did for that amount of time. And um, across the board, it doesn't matter what it is. And I always tell kids that I talk to, or high schoolers when I do speeches, that you have to like what you do. And a lot of times I'm talking to a group that it's a mixed group of runners, but maybe 1 or 2% are actually runners of that 100-person group. The rest, they dabble in soccer, they run, they play baseball, basketball. Some are really good academically, and it's like I always tell them, no matter what you do, you better really enjoy it, or it's not gonna be fun. You have to truly love it. And I always tell them that if this isn't the sport, that's cool. Like not everyone is going to be a runner. Not everyone's going to be a doctor or a football player. It's like find that sport or that activity that you truly enjoy doing and could see yourself doing for a long time. And luckily, I found that at a young age, and obviously you did, because we both ran for a long time. But that was the biggest thing that kept me in the sport. And then obviously the financial background. I had a sponsor for all 13 years. I had great coaches. My wife was a runner, so she understood the sacrifices it took. So it was a combination of a lot of things coming together to kind of make it work the way it did. You kind of take any one of those out of the equation, and a 13-year career goes down to 5 or 6 years. You see it in the U.S. a lot, where you have a ton of talent that comes out of college and they run for a couple years and then move on. And people are like, well, why does it seem like the age for a miler is like 26, 27 at peak? I'm like, well, that's just, the perception is skewed, because like I'll give like Grant Robison's a great example.
Yeah,
Ton
we're
of
going to
talent.
interview him later.
Yeah, ton of talent, came out of Stanford, came and trained with me or us at Michigan for a bit. Um, and there was just that lack of funding. And he got to a point in his career, it's like, am I going to keep doing this, or am I going to move on? And with someone who has a degree from Stanford University making pennies, it's a hard pill to swallow and be like, why am I doing this? I love it, but I've got this amazing degree as well. So a lot of people you see that move on in the sport a little too early just because they're missing one of those things. Either they don't have the support financially, emotionally, a good setup with training, coaches. But luckily, throughout my entire career, I was blessed to have everything that made it kind of work.
Yeah, man, that is a great answer, and I agree 100%. It really does have to be a lot of things coming together to really work. The end of my career, one thing got out of that equation, and it really messed with me and made things hard. So I totally get
You
that.
put injuries into that equation too.
Oh, absolutely.
And people ask me about injuries all the time, and I
Yeah.
said, I probably quit running. I can count it on two hands for sure. There's probably 7, 8, 9 times, 10 times that I said, screw this, I'm done. Like I can't deal with another major injury. It's too mentally draining. But every time you get through that injury, and it's like, oh, okay, I made it. I'm good. Next time I'm quitting. And you always get to that point, but there's something that keeps you going, and that's what makes a good runner great. There's something more in them that they stick with it and keep going.
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny you bring up. I probably quit so many times because I think I was there as well. But I got a funny story. I was on a run in Belgium with my coach at the time, Robert Gary, and he was still running professionally. He was a steeplechaser, and we were on this run, and he'd been struggling with an injury for years now. And I kid you not, it was the day before the meet, and we're running along, and all of a sudden he stops, and I said, "Hey, man, you all right?" And he says, "Eh, I'm done." And I said, "You done for the day?" He goes, "I think I'm done." And I was like, "You mean you're done for the season?" "No, man, I'm done." And that was it. That was it. He really did call it quits that day. He never did run another race professionally or anything. It was like, he stayed to support me because he was my coach. But it's crazy because, some people they reach that breaking point, and finally there's other things in life. So
Yeah, you see it too often in the sport, which is
yeah.
sad, but yeah.
Well, hey, let's keep moving, man, because we got a lot to cover.
Mhm.
Um, so, some stuff that's been said in some of the other interviews and some stuff I'll constantly tell my athletes is, consistency over time is probably one of the biggest keys to success. And so we know that, but everybody still loves to talk about those great, crazy, hard workouts. And you know
Mhm.
what? We already know consistency over time. Let's hear some crazy hard workouts.
So my professional career, I had two coaches. So I came out of Michigan. I stayed with Ron Warhurst at Michigan for the first 5 years, first 4 years being professional. Um, and then I went to Win Gimitrowski after that, which was the Canadian national team coach. So two different styles of coaching, very similar, but still two distinct. So training was much different as well. Ron got really excited. He was like a kid in a candy store. So he would give us these workouts, and there was goal times, but you knew Ron wanted us to go a little faster than goal. So it was always like, well, what's the fastest someone's ever done this workout? So there was always talk of like, we knew who had been the fastest in certain workouts and what the benchmarks were. And as we got into workouts, if they're going well, you could see Ron getting excited. We probably pushed things a little too much. But there was one specific workout, I'm trying to think what year it was. It was probably, I don't know, 2000. So Sully was still there. It might have been when we were in college still. We started with a 1200 and 248. And that's, most people can't run a 248.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember what the specific workout after that, but it was still like Ron was notorious for doing a lot of sets and a lot of
Hmm.
volume. So I'm sure it was a 12 followed by like 8 quarters at 62 down to 58 off of like 50 meter recovery. Um, we did a lot of those indoors too. So we do lane 6 workouts on the indoor track. So we'd have either 4 or 5 sets of 400 or 400s. And in lane 6, 400 around was 1 or almost 2 laps. So it ended at the top of the bend. So about 60 meters to go. So our workouts would be a 400 with a 60 jog. The 60 jog is about 18 or 19 seconds.
Yeah.
You're slowing down, then you hit the next one. And we would run under 60 seconds for 16 of these off of 19 seconds recovery. And then we would get 2 laps between. So you get a full 400 between, which was, we were probably lagging it out to like closer to 3 or 4 minutes, but it wasn't uncommon to start workouts with a 3 mile tempo in the 1350s. Like tempos are supposed to be a tempo. These they got pretty
Yeah.
fast. Um, and then professional career, I loved either 300s or 400s. So like a key workout for me to know I was fit would be 2 sets of 400s off a minute. And if I could run about 56, 57 off the 60 seconds, I knew I was really fit. And it wasn't just about running that time. It was being able to hit those times and then click off the next one. Just hit these 56s back to back to back, knowing I had more in the tank. But we did some crazy workouts. I started a workout with a 147 800. We were talking earlier about the workout we did in Florida. It was a 600 300 and I think 8 twos. We were like 118 36 off of a minute, and then 8 twos at like 26 27. Like they're just
Yeah. Yeah. I
a lot of
remember doing that.
a lot of it's how it's structured too. You tell people, you like, oh, I did 16 200s off at 26 seconds. Like, oh, I could do that. Like, no, they're off 30 seconds recovery.
Yeah.
And so, over the year, you got to think averaging at least 2 workouts a week for probably 17, 18 years. There were some pretty tough workouts that were harder than races.
Well, I remember when I moved up there to train with you guys. I think my first workout with you guys. I mean, the training was there was some similarities, but workout day was way more intense, like you said. I mean, they were like marathon sessions, it seemed like to me. And the first thing we did was we jogged out to that hill and we did 8 times a quarter-mile hill repeat. Well, that would have been the workout for me back at Ohio State. What what we do there, we jogged back to the track and then we jumped on and started doing Ks. And I was like, what? I was like, I think the only reason I got through the workout is because there was college kids doing it. And I was like, I can't let these guys beat me. I'm a professional athlete, but it was just bizarre to me. It was so crazy hard, but
Well, we used to joke about it with Ron. It's like the workout would be like 1200, 400, 800, 6 by 600, 800, then a couple twos. We're like, where'd you come up with this? Did you just throw darts at a dartboard and would it hit? You'd be like, no, we're doing the 12 because it simulates getting out hard. And then you got to settle in and do the sixes and then finishing with a hard rep because it's like the last 400 and then some fast twos at the end. And I was like, oh, he actually thought of this, because most of the
Yeah.
time we thought Ron was just in his office screwing around, writing it on a piece of paper that didn't make sense. Then you explain it, and we're like, oh, this senile old man is actually coming up with some good stuff. But, that was Ron's background, just being he was in Vietnam, right? So he's known and notorious for just working hard, and the strong survive. And if you make it through his program, you're going to be a tough SOB, and that's what he would always say. But yeah, it wasn't uncommon for a workout to be 13 miles, or Michigan we'd get 17 or 18 miles in that day. We get 13 for the Michigan, and then we'd always start the day with like a 5 mile morning run. So you'd be an 18-mile day just on doing the Michigan workout.
Yeah, I did
And
that one with you guys.
that's a tough one.
Yeah.
If you do it right. Most people don't know how it actually is run. It's a tough one.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty brutal. I'm not gonna lie. One of the benefits of being a professional athlete is you get to travel around the world, on someone else's dime. So I thought, hey, what better question than how many countries have you been to because of running? And, do you have a favorite?
I was trying to think about this earlier. I think I came up with 29 countries. I had to look at a map of Europe and go through, and I was like, oh yeah, I went to Czech Republic, and I was like, I forgot all the places that I've run in and raced in. Um, my favorite trip by far was Commonwealth Games in 2006 in Melbourne, Australia. I thought it was just a really cool country. Um, but the big thing with racing and being a professional is like, I tell people I've been to Paris, but I've never seen the Eiffel Tower. For the Paris Diamond League or Golden League, what it used to be, we would stay at the airport. So you fly into the airport, you take the airport shuttle to the hotel. The day of the meet, you take the bus to the meet, you race and go back to the hotel, and you're out. So I got in at night, I flew in at night, and I flew out first thing in the morning before the sun was up 3 days later. I literally saw the airport and saw nothing flying in or out. Same with Rome. I've been to Rome, cool city, but I've seen nothing. So one of these years we're going to go back to Europe and actually see things. Luckily, when I went to Australia, I was there for a month. So I went 3 weeks before Commonwealth to adjust, and I got to sightsee. And Nick was there as well, so we both. So yeah, I had my
Yeah.
training partner Willis was in Australia. Kevin Sullivan was there, so we all trained together at the time too. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree with you. I tell people the same thing. I did see a lot of airports and I saw a lot of hotel rooms, but I did try sometimes to really get out and about. And I will say, when I was in Paris, I did make sure I saw the Eiffel Tower. All right, let's talk race specifics. All right, uh, big question. This is a big topic, for the mile. Are you a sit and kick guy, or are you a out front, trying to make it happen, set the pace kind of guy?
So my entire professional career as a sit and kicker. Um, it wasn't until I went to college that changed. I was just get out and lead. In high school, I ran 3:59 and 1:46. You can't run those times by being a sit and kicker. So obviously, most good runners in high school, they have to lead. Um, then I went to Michigan. Things started changing a bit, and then throughout my professional career, I made a career out of sitting and kicking, which was kind of fun and ironic. I got flack for it for sure. People are like, that's all you do is sit and kick. Like, made a career out of it, so it's
Yeah,
not
I
the worst
won.
thing. You ever watch Nick Willis run?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And there's a big difference between being a sit and kicker in a slow race and a fast race. So someone in last place, not necessarily sitting kicking, they're just not stupid to grow in the suicide pace up front. Um, but yeah, I'm one of those naive milers that think he has one of the best kicks in the world and stays at the back like every other miler. Luckily, I think I might be one of the best kickers in the world during my time. I was only 10th at the Olympics, but that means only 9 other people in the world have better kicks. Unfortunately, everybody's in the same race at the same time. But yeah, I enjoyed the mile. I enjoyed racing that way, chilling out at the back and coming from behind.
Yeah, I, I do remember some epic, races that we were both in, and there were some guys running so fast up front that you're going, holy cow! But in this sport, injury is obviously a part of the sport. We were talking. You train so hard that it's inevitable. It's going to happen. At some point or another. I think the key is, how do you manage that? And so the question for you is, how do you manage that, and how do you come back, fit?
I think that the tough thing is being able to kind of see that the light at the end of the tunnel. So everyone, like you said, everyone's going to get injured. If you're in the sport long enough, you train hard enough, you will be injured at some point in your career. And it's what you make out of that injury. Is it a poor me, I'm injured again, blah, blah, blah? Or is it, okay, I'm going to get over this and become a stronger, better runner as a result? And it's tough. I've like I said before, I quit the sport many times when I was injured, and didn't think I'd make it through some of them. But at the end of the day, once you make it through, it makes everything that much more satisfying. It's like, okay, I made it back from that. I'm mentally tougher. I know I can do X, Y, Z. Like it's yeah, it's definitely tough. I've talked to a lot of kids or other runners that are in similar situations. Like, how do you do it? It's like you got to sit down and evaluate what you're doing. Like, is it worth it? Is this sport worth busting your butt in the pool every day for 6, 8, 12, 16 weeks? If the answer is no, then okay, great. Then move on. If the answer is yes, then you better make the most of that so you can come back the other side and be fitter as a result. But I've spent many lonely days in a pool, aqua jogging, solo, lights off, not even a soul around. And there's always that motivation at the end. It's whatever's coming up. Now the Olympics in 12 months, or in college it was NCAA's coming up. So I was always able to see the brighter side of things, even when you're in just a shitty situation. But we both been there. It's like, those are what define, I think, an athlete. It's the ones that can kind of come out of that stronger, better, and learn from it are the ones that tend to have the longer careers and more successful careers.
Yeah, man, that's great. I mean, I totally agree. That motivation, the basically the why am I running? You know, it's so huge, so important. So we've talked about a lot of great things today, and I think the real question people want to know is, if you were racing me today, who would win? Go easy on me.
The better question might be who's racing you or Kelly, who would win.
Hey, now.
I think I got you right now.
I'm
And I don't think I'd sit and kick. I would just take it from the gun and go.
you take it from the gun. Just put me out of my misery early.
Just try to put you out of your misery early and not look back.
Yeah, I might give you that one. I'm not gonna lie. I think you'd have me from about 100 meters in.
When was the last time you ran?
Oh, it's been a little while.
So is Kelly there?
Yeah, she can definitely beat me right now too.
Would Kelly would say she'd win?
Oh yeah, she'd totally beat me. Yeah, no, I work. I make. She could beat me pushing a double stroller. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I use work as an excuse, but really it is tough to get out with getting home late and stuff like that. And then there's times of the year where I can do it, but then I get right back out of routine when I'm working for crazy long hours, and then that yo-yo of routine, it just I just haven't been consistent in probably 5-6 years. Oh gosh, it's probably longer now.
Yeah, it's funny because I get a lot of just your average Joes that are like, man, how do you run? Like, how do you do it? And I'm like, well, it's got to be part of your routine. And you're exactly saying the same thing they say. It's like, well, I just get out of it and it gets hard. I'm like, I'll tell you firsthand, when I take time off and come back, running sucks. So hard. I've gained weight. I'm trying to run. It's not easy. But at some point, it's like, okay, I finally fit. I finally made that fitness gain where things become easy. And it's, no matter if you're a professional or just the average runner, it's like, once you get past that, then it makes it easier.
Yeah, I tell my athletes.
And you want to keep doing it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I tell my athletes all the time, the hardest part about running is just getting started. Once you've got that routine, like you said, and you're consistent. I mean, when I was a professional athlete, I didn't miss, and that the routine just made it so much easier. But yeah, you're right on. So, hey man, I just want to say thanks. You've been a big part of my life. Ever since we knew each other in college, but after college we moved in together and trained together, and I see that hat. And I just gotta say thanks, man. Thanks for, always, the help that you gave me over those years, and kind of sticking with me, helping keep me going when I was down sometimes on my luck, or with injuries and all that stuff. It was great getting to know you and your wife, and so I just want to say thanks. I appreciate it, man. You truly are a role model. You represent Michigan and, in Canada well. So I just want to make sure, and I took this opportunity to tell you that.
No, yeah, it's been awesome. I'm glad. It's funny because you have a black guy and a Wolverine that came together after college and became pretty well, I would say best friends. And so it's kind of unique where, and that's the funny thing is that this is what running brings to people. It's like you have two people from completely different lives, different schools, different, well, people that aren't supposed to like each other. And running just allows people to kind of have that common ground and come together and join good lifelong friendships. So yeah, it's been a blast.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Hey, well said tonight, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, buddy. Take it easy.
All right.
All
Bye.
right.